When you retire, you may get a chance to go to football heaven. This is football heaven.
Hello and welcome to The Mission. I'm your host, Jameer Howerton. Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Happy New Year. We're looking forward to a great season here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We're going to have twice the fun in 21, so we want everybody to please continue to follow all of the Pro Football Hall of Fame social media channels so you can see all the information that's coming out for this year's enshrinement powered by Johnson Controls. We're going to celebrate the excellence of the 2020 class, and we're going to celebrate the excellence of the 2021 class. Well, today, guys, as always, we have a great show for you today. And I'm so honored to be joined by the 2021 finalist, one of the 15, Mr. Cleveland Browns himself, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Clay Matthews. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Happy New Year to you. I don't know about the myth and the legend.
Yes, you are. You are the myth and the legend because the Matthews family is considered the first family of football, and you're leading the way.
It
stunned you there. I stunned you there. I felt like I was a offensive lineman that caught you.
Well, you might have that in the phone rang, but this is just a tremendous experience for me. And I know I've talked to you about this before, but yes. I was a fan of the game, you know, long before I became an accomplished player. I was one of those little kids who collected the plastic helmets and, you know, they were treasured, wouldn't let my brothers play with them. And then, in fact, early in my career in Cleveland, I got my wife and I said, we got to drive down to Canton to go to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I think that was 79, 80. I went down there, and just to be in this, you know, to be mentioned in this 15 is tremendous, and I'm enjoying it.
You're one step away, but before we dive in, because there's so much things I want to talk to you about, I have so many testimonials. A huge campaign is pounding the pavement for Clay Matthews to be right here in Canton, Ohio. Let's go back to when you received the phone call from our president, CEO, Mr. David Baker. What was that phone call like?
Well, I missed his call, and I came in and hit the replay, and as I heard him talking, I didn't quite get it at first, and then all of a sudden my temperature started going up, and I'm, whoa, you know, I've made the top 15, and it was, you know, I went downstairs. I've got an office up here on the second floor, and I went down and talked to my wife and daughter and communicated with her that they had called and I was in the top 15. And again, I'm a fan of the game, you know, and to be in this tier of players is just amazing.
Did you feel the momentum start to swing your way right after the Ring of Honor with the Cleveland Browns?
You know, I've always been really comfortable with what I did. And I say I'm a fan of the game. But nevertheless, when I lined up, you know, I didn't want somebody else to get the better of me. Personally, I was looking to win every play. And then team-wise, why can't we win, you know, figuratively, why can't we win a Super Bowl? And so I'm competitive in that way. But again, this just momentum, it's fantastic. And, you know, if you go to Ohio, I didn't know much about Ohio when I was drafted. It was a different time. You know, you really didn't, you went where you were drafted and you didn't manage it or anything. And it was one of the great pleasures of my life was to experience the people of Northeast Ohio. And really, you know, as I went around town, if I was at the store or getting gas, I'd run into folks and they were informed, they were respectful, and they had their opinions, which was okay. But I had a lot of conversations in a lot of out of the way places and just thoroughly enjoyed it.
I know you've been receiving so many phone calls, but I have to ask you if you don't mind sharing. the phone call that you received from your brother, Pro Football Hall of Famer Bruce Matthews. What was that call like?
Well, he's been pushing for me, and he called, and really more or less he was giving me the business. That if this thing progresses, I'd have to give a speech and all that, and Matthew's men have typically been more of the, I'll call it strong, silent type. So he was rubbing that in, that I might potentially have to give a speech one day.
One of the things that he said, which I love, he says the greatest strength is his versatility. He did everything and he did it very well.
Somebody asked me the other day to talk about myself, and specifically football wise, and I'm not really comfortable doing that. But when I thought about it, the breadth of things I was asked to do over time from 1978 through 1996 were, really it encompasses the whole the whole aspects of defensive football. I came in, and originally I was a 4-3 linebacker. On third down, I was a 1 linebacker. I covered backs at a time when quarterbacks would throw to the backs, and it was a challenge, and I didn't want anybody to catch a ball on me. And then as time went on, it changed a little bit. We went to a 3-4. I stayed out, and then we came, the edge rusher era came in. Now that was about my 10th year. So okay. I go in and talk to the coach. I go, hey, you need to use me here. And I was already in my 10th year. And then, in fact, my last year, all I did was rush on third down. And
wow.
Yeah.
How many sacks did you get that year?
I was with Atlanta that year, and I led the team in sacks. I think I had 6.5. And one thing I always point out to people, the last play of my last game of my last year was a sack on third down.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Way to go out. That was a great way to go out.
Yeah.
So along with your brother calling you, who were some of the other people that had called you and showing their support?
A lot of people I've been involved with, good grief. I had the Z-Man, the mailman from Strongsville, where I used to live, called me. It's just folks I've run into and maybe have been out of touch a little bit. And it was just amazing to hear from these folks. And actually I would always put in the text, if they text me, gosh, I'm kind of surprised you followed it, so it's been a surprise that these folks have listened and heard this.
Well, I want to read some of the outpour of support and the testimonials from NFL greats from around the league, Hall of Famers and coaches as well. I want to read Mike Singletary on Clay Matthew. Consistency. Clay Matthew is a model of consistency. When I heard his name, that was the first thing that popped into my head. You knew what you were going to get from Clay every time he stepped on the field, a consistent high-level competition.
Wow. And again, I keep hitting this point about being a fan of the game. I'm a fan of Mike Singletary. I'm a fan of these folks, and for folks to say nice things about me, it's amazing, very humbling.
Ozzie Newsome says, part of my success as a player from Clay Matthews, I had to practice against him every day since we came in the league in 1978. He made me better. Wow. Talk about some of those battles against your own teammate, Pro Football Hall of Famer Ozzie Newsome.
Oh, absolutely. And Ozzie not only has been a Hall of Famer as a player, but front office wise as general manager has just done amazingly well. But to hear that from him, and that works two ways. Me working against him all the time practically assured me that any tight end that I was going to go against wouldn't have the skills that Ozzie had. Amazing.
Nick Saban on Clay Matthew. Clay Matthew possesses a unique combination of being a great player with a competitive nature and no ego whatsoever. Wow. Wow.
Well,
Because you caught Nick at a very young age, at a
I
10th grade
did.
in Cleveland. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, Nick and Bill Belichick, two pretty good coaches. And
Really good
I
coach.
enjoyed those were 93, 91, 92, 93. And I enjoyed that. And actually, uh, as I ended up coaching my kids, I had two pretty good role models. I had many role models, but those two guys, popular, being out there in the public right now, they stand out. And to have those two guys, I was coaching those 8, 9-year-old kids like Nick and Bill Belichick would. So we won a lot of games. I hope those kids are doing okay.
They had some like a lot of exotic defensive schemes. They were probably like way ahead of the game.
The one good thing about Nick and Bill was it was all fundamentals and it was all solid stuff. And I can't say it wasn't like they won because they, had this new twist to everything. They won because they just demanded and stressed the fundamentals of the game day in and day out.
Wow. Another coach, Bill Cowher, also he played, but he says he is without a doubt a Hall of Famer. He played 19 years. He was a third down player who was unbelievable, productive, dependable, and one of the smartest players I've ever been around. This really would really touch me. He defines the art of playing outside linebacker. I taught linebackers who were in the Pro Football Hall of Fame techniques that I learned from Clay Matthews. He belongs in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Wow. Bill and I were linebackers together, and it's wonderful the things he said. But I do have a interesting story, if you don't mind me diverting.
Absolutely. Share, please.
But, Bill, started off, he was a player and played with us. And then he became a coach with the Browns, and then he became the head coach. So we're playing the Steelers in Pittsburgh, and it's 4th and 4 or 4th and 3 or something down in the red area. And so I yell over to Bill, and it looks like there's a timeout, and he's thinking, kick the field goal. And I go, Bill, go for it. And he kind of laughs. He shifts everybody. They go for it and get the first down. So maybe I should have kept my mouth shut in that situation there.
Still staying in the AFC North, Anthony Munoz on Clay Matthews. He is one of the best I've ever played against. He could cover with speed. He rushed the passer as well as anyone. He was one of the smartest guys. Wow. Talk about battling against Anthony.
Yeah, Anthony, I had gone to University of Southern California with Anthony. And
right.
That was about, 2 games out of the year, I wasn't going to get near the quarterback when we played Cincinnati. And he's not only a tremendous player, tremendous person. You're kind of overwhelming me with these folks saying these nice things. Usually they were trying to knock my head off on the field, and now they're saying nice things. So it's.
I have some more now. I have some more. I have a few more. I don't want to make you blush too much.
Well, you got to get the ones where the folks call me a bad guy. Then we can.
No, never that. Not here on this show. Okay. But Howie Long has something really great to say. He says, someone who I would like to see play in today's game, but one of the biggest compliments I could give him is that he's someone that I would have loved to play with. Man, that's what I got to ask you. What would that have been like, you on the same field with Howie Long?
Again, a great compliment from Howie. I've always respected him. And as far as playing together, I did play with him, and got a little story on that. We're playing in the Pro Bowl in Hawaii. So Howie's at left end, I'm at right end. This is late in my career, so they're letting me rush the passer. So I come around and I'm getting around the tackle, okay? And as I'm coming around, I'm heading right, I've gone around and now I'm coming to the quarterback. Meanwhile, I see Howie, he's at left end. He's coming around his guy, and I go, well, Howie's, I'm ahead of Howie. He'll get out of the way. Then I looked into his eyes and I can remember this. I can remember it as if it was yesterday. I'm looking at his eyes and I go, he doesn't even see me. He's got his eyes on the quarterback. So I was going to get hit in the legs, because he was coming in. So I decided to jump and flew over him. And I don't even know if we got the quarterback or not, but that man he had a focus at that point, and
Wow.
played with that forever and ever. Yeah.
And the last testimonial, Warren Moon, and I'd like to talk to you about because he played with your brother.
Yes.
And how challenging was that? I know you had to get Warren Moon, but at times did you find yourself going against your brother?
On defense, it was, back then the AFC Central, Cleveland and Houston were in the same division. So we played twice a year, which was, it was tremendous. That game, regardless of how much importance it was important to me. And, when you're a linebacker, they can send any of the 11 guys. Well, they don't send the quarterback after you, but you really have to be ready for all, a greater number of people who are going to come get you. And so when my brother would pop up, it would happen real fast. Again, I love these old stories. I hope you can.
Oh, yeah, no, please. We love this. This is great. This is great.
My brother, okay, he comes into the league in 1983, and this is my 5th year. I'm right outside linebacker. So they're going to run a counter tray, they call it, where the right guard pulls and he's going to run all the way down the line. And I'm the right defensive, which would be on their left. So he's going to have 7 yards of momentum before he hits me. And they called the play, and then something went wrong and there was a timeout. So he sat there for 2-3 minutes, whatever it takes to do this, thinking, I'm going to hit my brother. I'm going to hit my brother. I'm going to hit my brother. So the play starts, the tight end blocks down. And now what happens is when the tight end goes down, for me, I got to find somebody's coming to get me. And I see my brother coming, and he's coming, and if I had picked on him, which I hope I didn't do, or if he had perceived there were inequities, he was going to take care of all of them in this one block. So I see him coming because you look down, and then what I did was just dipped underneath him. He flew through the air. If he would have hit me, he would have knocked me down. So he flies through the air, lands on the field in Cleveland, which was, notoriously muddy, and gets up and has a big clump of turf in his helmet. And I said, keep your head up. That was the first time he tried to hit me. He might have hit me after that, but that was the first.
You have to tell me, how many times did you guys rewind that back and forth during Thanksgiving dinners and Christmas dinners?
Well, fortunately, we went on, for another 14 or so years, where we were away from each other. So by the time we finally both quit playing and could have sat down and done that, it had kind of run its course.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. It is great to hear so many great things of the legends in and around the league speaking highly of you, Mr. Matthews. And for the 11th straight season, the Pro Football Hall of Fame has teamed up with Ford for the official fan vote, where fans can go and vote as if there are a Pro Football Hall of Fame selector. And for the 11th straight year, you have been in the top 3. Leading the way this year is Peyton Manning and Charles Woodson, but you're third with 30,725 fan votes out of all the 15 guys. So the fans are speaking on your behalf. They're campaigning, everybody really wants to see you here in Canton, Ohio. But when you really hear that, what does that mean to you, your legacy on the field, that the fans are really showing their support?
It, I enjoyed the fans because I was a fan, and uh, it, yeah, really one of the great experiences in my life, looking back, was the interaction I had with people in Northeast Ohio. And again, uh, out of the way places. And I, we're looking at a period of 16 years. I cannot remember one time I had a negative experience with a fan out in the public. And that speaks to the type of fans that are in Northeast Ohio there. And, it's kind of exciting to see the Browns get going again. And it's tremendous.
They are, and it's great. And we're going to touch on that. But before we touch on that, switching gears a bit, and we spoke about this earlier, the Matthews are considered the first family of football. And if you can really just kind of take us through the lineage of that. And I know you spoke before about the little helmets that you had, but what was it like as a kid growing up, seeing grandpa, then dad, and following in those footsteps?
Well, I actually had, I'm a very fortunate person. I had two very good parents, and my dad played, and my dad never pushed me into football. He just said that whatever I did, I needed to put my heart and soul into it, whether, I was playing football or doing something else. Now, my mom, my mom was, she weighed like 105 pounds, but she could hit the golf ball further than my dad. So here's a story, and I think it's where I got some of my wiry strength from. I came home from working out, and this is freshman year of football, so we started lifting weights, and I'm starting to get, a little bump on my bicep and all, and I'm thinking I'm pretty strong, and I've been working out. So I come home, my mom, who's all of like 105 pounds, says, let's arm wrestle. So I go, come on, Mom, I'll win. My mom, now I only weighed 132 pounds. I was a late bloomer, but I was wiry. So she beats me in arm wrestling in 9th grade. And I'm thinking, what are the odds that I'd ever play, in college or in the NFL? I mean, when you're 132 pounds in 9th grade and you get beat by your mom in arm wrestling, but I took off from there.
That's great. That's great. I think you let her win, though, Clay. I really do.
No, I didn't.
I think you let Mom win because you knew, like, yo, if I beat Mom, man, I'm not going to be eating good. I think you let her win.
No, she had those wiry arms, tough, like a lot of the basketball players. They, they don't look strong, but they are, and amazing.
That's great. And when you look at the second family, or you can consider it the second family of football, the Manning's family, and knowing that Peyton, this is up, he's up this year. And what would that mean to be here in Canton, Ohio, and get in with Peyton Manning and the Mannings and the Matthews?
Well, I've never thought about that. He, I thoroughly enjoyed watching his career, and celebrated him winning a Super Bowl, and I've just enjoyed it. I think obviously their body of work, the Manning family, stands by itself, and I'd like to thank the Matthews family. We got him on time because my dad was drafted, I believe, in 1949, and then we played through last year. So we might get them on the time frame.
Well, Mr. Matthews, we thank you so much for your time. Good luck to you. We're pulling for you, and we can't wait to honor you here in Canton, Ohio. So we're going to be, fingers crossed and just watching this journey every step of the way.
Well, thank you. And of course, go Browns.
Go Browns. Go Browns. Well, that's going to do it for Clay Matthews and myself. Thank you for joining us right here on The Mission.